Okay, gang, I'm going to sound the first brief trumpet blast for this very joyous occasion, and the first one is Richard, happy birthday. Sing it out, happy birthday. And the next trumpet call, it's going to be very brief this, is just to say how wonderful it is to have you all here. Amazing lot of people, incredibly various from all over the place, all parts of Richard's life, and you come to do one other thing too and give him, and that's a little gift which we've concocted. It's 6 gifts actually, identical gifts. It's a little book which we've been cobbled together, and it's been carefully shaped, it's been hammered and stuck and with a little care. It's a kind of a garland of friendship in a way. It's a token of our esteem for what esteem is worth, and you know what it's worth. It's not worth much. And also, it's a token of our love, Richard. You'll blush at that. I know you don't like love, but it is. That's in there. It's also a token of our enormous gratitude and thanks for everything you've done for us, for the way that you have touched, shaped, changed our thinking and our lives for the better. And that's been an incredible incredible amount of that. So thanks and happy birthday. And I hate giving speeches, so I'm going to hand over to John now. He's going to say a bit more.
You're about to find out what the hell I'm doing here. Okay, again, like John said, thanks to everybody for coming. I checked my emails, and John and I started organising this in 2013, and we've exchanged 3,000 emails in that time. So it's a long time planning, and I thank again, like John said, to everybody for contributing. We asked a lot of people to contribute to the gift, as it were, and almost everyone we asked said yes, and almost everyone who said yes contributed, which I think is pretty extraordinary. And I think that is testament to the love, respect, admiration, everything that people hold for you. That took me back to the first time I met Richard, which was possibly 40 years ago to the day, or to the week even. 1977 in Sheffield, and Richard took my first ever archaeology tutorial as I remember it, and we read a paper called Archaeology, the Loss of Innocence by David Clarke, and I think that at the time may well have come across as incomprehensible, but where I was lucky, where my son wasn't, was that I had Richard to help me, guide me through that kind of stuff, and that kind of approach that was David Clarke put forward in Archaeology, the Loss of Innocence has guided my archaeology, my politics, my life, really. He brought that to the archaeological world in his book, Dark Age Economics. And I know the historian's name, but I won't say who it was. The historian wrote that your book was written in catatonic obscurity. So they just couldn't understand what you were on about. But in preparing for this, I asked a lot of archaeologists, a lot of historians in England, what is the seminal book in medieval archaeology? And still today they say Dark Age Economics, published in 1982, is still the book that made the biggest impact in British medieval archaeology. So for that, at least, Richard deserves thanks, praise, everything. But it goes beyond that. You didn't stop in 1982. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It gets a bit briefer after this. But what Richard also did, and again, not many archaeologists, not many academics actually do this, is they use their study of the past to make a difference in the present. And Richard did that on almost every project he worked on. Just one final thing is a thank you to the British School and to the American University for helping us stage this. Thanks to Richard, and happy birthday as well.
I'm sure you all know that man is an archaeologist. And it's a running joke because we had a bet with his early assistant, Anna Paterlini, and now with Maurizia. bunch of other staff at the American University of Rome, that we have to bet on how far into any conversation Richard will say, "I'm an archaeologist." And in fact he is. And then he goes on to explain. And so the wonderful thing about having a president who's an archaeologist is that they spend a lot of time underground, and they find a lot of fragments and pieces of things, and then they somehow imagine how they might have worked, and they put them back together, and they tell a story about them. And Richard did that for us at AUR. We were pretty broken when he arrived. We had lots of things wrong. We weren't sure that we would head into the future, and I was a lowly faculty member on the search that insisted that Richard Hodges was the right person for AUR. Got into a few arguments not with our beloved chairman of the board, who also liked Richard. But he was an archaeologist after all, and how is an archaeologist going to fix everything that was wrong at AUR? And the fact is, he's done exactly what his colleagues have said. He's put things together. He's created a story. He's a beautiful story, and he's also given us a future. So Richard, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for everything, and I wish you the happiest of birthdays.
Okay, so I'm all that stands between you and Richard and the buffet, so this will be quite brief. When I came to the British School at Rome first, in the late 1980s, the director was Richard Hodges. He made the basis for the modern British School at Rome. Every director builds on the successes of their predecessors, and I was lucky to have Andrew Wallace-Hadrill as my predecessor, but I'm aware that everything that we've done here builds on generations and generations of work. And Richard's time at the BSR was an incredibly important juncture in our transformation and our development. When I came here as director in 2009, we had some challenges to face as well. And I can honestly say that having Richard here in Rome beside me as a friend, as a supporter, been one of the most valuable things in my time here as director. You made a difference to my directorship, just as you made a difference to the BSR in your own time, and that is a basis on which we will continue to build. Richard, happy birthday, and thank you.
Happy birthday, dear Richard. Happy birthday to you.
I'm completely and utterly astonished. Do you know, I look at the cover here and I suddenly realize why John Mitchell has been debating this piece of fresco with me for the last 2 weeks. Because he's got the interpretation wrong. He's not realized. But anyway, first of all, well, thank you to you all, particularly those of you who've come from very many miles away. It's amazing. The opportunity to get involved with institutions is a priceless opportunity. And my time at the British School was wonderful and marked in particular by so many collaborations that I shall never forget. Wonderful times. Now I see Henry, you started me, Henry, because I first came here with that gentleman in 1971. And it was a very different institution, and it now promises to be a different institution again. I've left many of you out, but all I can say is thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's so unexpected. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
So my message to Richard Hodges is that I just think the world of him. I thank him for being such a great mentor. You are the one, Richard, who introduced me to archaeology. You are the one that, in some ways, allowed me to find archaeology. You gave me a lot of room to maneuver, and I always found our conversations very stimulating and motivating. And so you're just a great mentor. And in leading my own expeditions and my own field work, I always think of you. I think of the example that you set and the standards that you set as well. And I just want to wish you the very best, a very happy birthday, and just tell you that we all love you dearly.
The word, Henry, for badger, which you won't know, is tasso. Because they probably won't.
I've been spotted.
Per noi del Molise Richard Ogest è un mito, è lo scopritore di San Vincenzo a Volturno, è colui che ci ha fatto capire la nostra storia, ha fatto capire le origini della storia di San Vincenzo a Volturno e di conseguenza del nostro territorio. Il Molise deve tutto a lui. Noi oggi conosciamo la storia del Medioevo, conosciamo tutto ciò che è accaduto alle sorgenti del Volturno grazie alla sua grande intuizione.
Message to Richard is congratulations, Richard. It's a fantastic achievement and you've seen the reception you've had and I'm so delighted to be part of it. I guess I was there at the beginning and this must be a sort of midway stage, so congratulations.
My experience at the American University has allowed me to, I think, look at not just my own field, which I've been in as an archaeologist for 40 years, but actually to do more and think about how change can happen in many different fields. And in particular, I think I've understood how important it is to work with young people, because the world today is changing so profoundly and so fast. And with my experience, I have the experience to say, I don't know how to do this, but I do know how to listen, and I do know how to try and solve the problems and think critically about pathways forward. One message is be resilient, be optimistic, and always keep going.